what is some of that sell versus rent analysis that we want to take into consideration? You want to do a rental payback period calculation. This is pretty simple. The payback period calculation is simply taking your estimated net proceeds and dividing it by the estimated net rental income per month. So the whole goal here is, let's say you think, okay, hey, I'm going to sell this home for, let's say you're going to make $120,000 on that net sheet. At the very bottom, you're walking away with $120,000. And then you do your rental pro forma and realize, hey, I'm going to get, let's say it's $500 a month, $6,000 a year. You take $120,000, divide it by 6,000, that's 20. That means, hey, it's going to take 20 years of owning this home as a rental and making sure those numbers hit right for me to get the same amount of money as if I just sold the home now. Now, the reality is that 120 is still there for your rental income, no doubt. It's still there because you're getting that $6,000 a month. You still have that equity. But what you got to do then is take it a step further and go, okay, if I sold this home and took the 120 now, could I or would I invest it somewhere else or put it somewhere else in my life that gives me a greater benefit than that $6,000 a year rental income? That's where that rental payback period calculation helps you better make that decision. As I always say, hey, the lower that number, sometimes the more advantageous renting can be, as long as that rental number makes sense. If it's only $100, $200 a month on a massive mortgage, that might be pretty risky still. But rental payback period helps you just get a good idea of, hey, what type of return am I really getting from this as a rental versus as if I just sold it and put it somewhere else? Helps start giving you an idea. The higher that number is, you may decide that you want to sell and take that money and put it elsewhere. The lower that number is, you might want to keep it and use it as a rental. Next, you want to consider market conditions. So the whole deal is, if you're leaving an area that you know is kind of going downhill, is the rental market there positive? If it's not, you might want to just sell. Even if the rents look great, but you know the area is changing, you might want to sell. Or if it's growing. We have a lot of clients that are going to locations in the military that are growing significantly. Hey, even if that rental doesn't quite make a lot of sense right now, maybe in another 5-10 years, because the area is just growing a lot, population, job, income, all that good stuff. We have a whole other video on. If it's all growing well, wonderful. You might want to keep that. Then as well, you want to consider your purchasing power implications. This is why earlier I said add a lender, not just because I am a lender, but because you need to think about your next purchase. For example, our military families that we work with, they may want to keep that home as a rental. But when we run the numbers and they want to use a VA loan next, so they have to use a VA loan for the next one, lower down payment, no PMI, all that good stuff, ability to do a streamlined refi. Let's say we run those numbers and they have to sell that home to get the next one. You want to know that up front before you get a tenant in there and start making the decision on the next purchase. Or you want to know, like what we do all the time, hey, Evan, we want to keep this home, especially because let's say it has a super low interest rate. What's the interest rate on the next home and how's it going to work for me? What could I expect for payments and stuff? Can I be contingent or not contingent on selling this home to buy the next one? That simply means, do I have to sell or get this rented in order to buy the next home? You want to know that answer because you're leaving one area. You want to make sure that you don't mess up your next purchase. So working with a lender, very important. And the whole reason for that is that if you're keeping that old home as a rental, it can have a major impact on your debt to income ratio. Because for mortgages, debt to income ratio drives pretty much the majority of your qualification. You need to make sure that debt to income ratio is as low as possible. If you're going to keep that existing mortgage payment and HOA dues and all that stuff on the home that you're trying to rent out, that's going to negatively impact it. So then we got to discuss, hey, what would the potential rents do to help you offset that? Would it be positive, negative, or break even? Just important implications to take into account. Then as well, VA loan eligibility. This is where I talk on, hey, if you want to keep that home as a rental, let's say you bought it and it was a $400,000 loan at the time, and we do the numbers by your VA certificate of eligibility, it might limit you from how much you can do with 0% down on your next VA loan, because there's some loan limits that kick in on a VA loan if you're going to keep your old rental. If you're going to sell everything and have what's called full VA loan entitlement, then there's no loan limits. Absolutely awesome. We can do 0% down on a $2 million home. Works. We've done $1 million, $2 million homes we've helped work with before, so it's doable. But if you're going to keep an old VA loan, then all of a sudden that limits the 0% down eligibility. You can still go higher with a VA loan, but then you got to start bringing some potential down payment, and we got to do that calculation for you. So just know that keeping a home as a rental can have some implication on that future loan, especially if it's a VA loan, and we want to take that into account. My name's Evan Kaufman, your VA loan originator, helping military families move all across the country. Thank you very much for your time. Take care.